Today we are going to transition from poppers and we're going to go into our energy unit today. Our I can statement is I can describe the different types of energy. There's more than one. We are going to learn about what those different types are. I want you to first think about some things that we already know about energy. This may be from previous grades, from that Generation Genius video I had you show or I had you watch, maybe from previous experiences. Maybe you've been to a summer camp. Maybe you went to somewhere and they talked to you about energy. Maybe someone at home or a friend knows a lot about energy. Or what about from that Bill Nye video that I had you watch? What are some things that you already know? You know what happens when you flip a switch to turn on a light bulb? Um, you may be thinking about some of these things, but when you flip the switch, electricity is going to flow from the light bulb to create light. When this happens, if we think about making like a cake or things like that, nothing is made here. This is just going to be a transfer of energy, and this is going to be the transfer from electrical energy into light and heat energy. So nothing is being made. Energy is always going to transfer from one thing to another. And so what is actually happening, electrical energy is turning into light and heat energy. If we think about a light bulb, if we were to touch the light bulb, it's going to be a little hot. And that's why if we're changing light bulbs, we need to make sure that our switch is off so that electrical energy doesn't go to the light bulb and that we can switch it without burning ourselves. So, what is energy? Energy is the ability to do work. This is technically a transfer of energy. So, we're not making anything, we're transferring one thing from the other. And so, because of that, we can never lose energy. It always is going to transfer, it's always going to change forms. And there's going to be different types of energy. We have kinetic, we have potential, and we have chemical. And so, we can use or we can make what you want to do. And so using these different types and making the transfers is how we get a lot of our things done. It's how we start cars. It's how we power our body and move our body around. How we power machines or stoves and a lot of different things. And so there are three different types: kinetic, potential, and chemical. We're first going to start with kinetic energy. And first, I want you to imagine that you're rolling a bowling ball down a lane, and this is going to have kinetic energy, which is the energy of motion. When the ball goes down the lane, it is going to knock over some pins, and the pins will now receive that energy, that kinetic energy, and they are going to fall over. And so the bowling ball had the energy, it's moving down the lane, it hits the pins, it transfers to the pins fall down, and the bowling ball stops. It doesn't have any more energy, it transferred it from the bowling ball to the pins. It didn't lose it, it just transferred it. Kinetic energy is also the movement of little tiny molecules, and they're going to move around more. When they're hot. So heat is also a different type of energy or kinetic energy. An example of this is when you are cooking, the energy is going to move between the objects while you're cooking, and this is going to result in a change of temperature. And also, on a little bit of a smaller level, electricity is going to also be another type of kinetic energy. And so is light, because the light waves are going to move. Then we have potential energy, and this is energy that can be easily unleashed. It's stored, it's not moving. It could move, like move around, and it could be unleashed. If we're looking at our little guy right here, he's holding it back. He's not letting go yet. And that's why it's potential, because it could potentially be let go and then turned into kinetic energy, but it's waiting to happen. If we're sitting at the top of our roller coaster, we're waiting to go down, we're holding it. Once it does go down, once we do let go of our pebble or our rock, or we do go down the hill, that's when it's going to turn into kinetic energy. So while we're waiting, that's only potential. It's not happening yet, but it could be unleashed and it could happen. Our last type of energy is chemical energies, and batteries, gas, and food are all different examples of chemical energy. And Miss Mafia put a little picture of a Portillo's hamburger. She really wants one. She's kind of hungry. But food is also a different type of energy. It Chemical energy can also be kind of potential energy too, because the energy is going to be stored in different chemical bonds of substances. So it's just kind of waiting to happen. If we think about maybe like making a cake, it's being stored, and then once we use the kinetic energy and once we use the potential, it's going to turn into something else. So batteries also might transfer their chemical energy into electricity, which we found out that electricity was um, kinetic energy, which can then be transferred into sound. So if we think about when we charge our phone at night, we're using our electricity to charge our battery, which is chemical energy. Then we're using the chemical energy to turn on our phone, the electricity, which is kinetic energy, and then it's going to be transferred into sound. So say we're playing our favorite song on Spotify, and that can be then transferred into sound. So we use these different types every day, kinetic, potential, and chemical. And so we can turn on lights through different energy transfers, and then we can turn gas or chemical energy into kinetic energy when we drive cars. So if we go to the gas station, we put the gas in our car, then that can turn into kinetic energy when we start to move the car. Now is we are going to complete this little Google slide here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see what we're talking about. So what we're going to do is under this K, you are going to write what you already know. K is for know, what you already know about the different types of energy. That's why I had you guys think about that a little bit before. Write some things that you already know. And if you click on this text box, you should be able to just write in it the things that you already know about it. The W stands for any questions you might have still about energy, about something that you want to learn or what you're still confused about. And then after we do this, this is what we are going to talk about, what you learned today, maybe something that you didn't know before. So you're going to complete this.